storyteller, and today I'll be teaching you how to use your stories as you grow your business. And the truth is, I discovered the power of storytelling at a very young age. I was 11 years old, and I was in 5th grade. Now, I don't know about you, but elementary school could be a difficult time for me. 11 years old was a difficult time. One reason is I was recovering from a really bad haircut. Pelo malo. Everyone thought I was a boy. So that wasn't good. But the other reason 5th grade was so challenging for me is it was that first year where you start to wonder who you are, what your voice will be, how you will start to find your way in this world, which can be challenging. And it was made even more difficult because I had this best friend, and she was perfect. Have any of you known that perfect girl? First of all, she was absolutely beautiful. She had this long blonde hair, long being the operative word, and then these big brown eyes that could turn green when she needed them to. It was the strangest thing. You'd be looking at her, and all of a sudden, her eyes would change color. It was mesmerizing. And the girls loved her because she was funny, and she was loyal, and she was oh so kind. And the teachers loved her because she was smart and she was engaged. And the boys, let me tell you, if an 11-year-old boy could go to a tattoo parlor and get a name tattooed across their arm, they all would have had her name, because even her name was perfect. Molly. I don't know, it has a good ring to it, right? Molly. And I remember I wanted so badly to be Molly. I remember walking down those wide grade school hallways side by side with Molly when the principal, the head of the school, the most powerful man, would come walking towards us. And every time he would stop and he would do this thing. He would go like this. He would stop, he would see us, and he would say, "Hey, Molly, Molly!" Which, looking back, seems a little inappropriate. Right? But he would stop and he would do this every time. "Hey, Molly, Molly!" And then he would look at me, but then just keep walking, like I wasn't even there. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel that way. Like I know that I have this power within me, but how do I make the world see it? How do you make the world see the power of what you're doing here at For Life, here in each one of your individual brands? I wanted so badly to be Molly, but I couldn't be Molly. I had to be me, fortunately. At the end of 5th grade, we all received an assignment. We had to choose a children's book and go read it to a 3rd grade class, go read it to some kids. Well, I chose the book called The Giant's Big Toe, slightly controversial. And I remember walking into that classroom of children, and it was right at the end of the day. So the kids were bouncing off the walls, they were picking bugs off each other. Gross. And the teacher was in the back of the room. She was looking at the sky, thinking to herself, "Please, let the parents come and take these children away." They were crazy. And I remember standing in front of that 3rd grade classroom, holding my book, and I decided to just put it down and tell the story. And within the first few sentences of that story, I held those 3rd graders in the palm of my hand. And I'll admit, even at 11, I liked the power. I thought maybe I was on to something here. Well, I didn't go back to 5th grade after that. I was on tour. My name was in lights. Kindra is the giant's big toe. And everywhere I went, to every single classroom, telling my story. And on the last day of school, I remember walking down those wide grade school hallways, side by side with my best friend Molly, who I didn't have to be like anymore, and the principal, the most powerful man in the school, passed us, and he did the same thing. He did the, hey, Molly, Molly, thing, because he couldn't help himself. But then he turned to me, and he said, Kindra, I heard you've been telling some great stories. Keep it up. And so I did. And I never really stopped. And now I am here. Hey! And I have to tell you, there is nowhere I would rather be. I learned two very important lessons from that experience. The first one is this. You have a lot of choices every single day of who you show up as. My hope is that every single day you show up as you, not anyone else. Do you, because there is no one else in the world who is just like you. And then of course the second thing is, how do you be you? You share your stories. Stories you already have, yes, stories that connect you with the people around you, and that is what I am going to teach you here today. Are you ready? Are you excited? I ask you if you're excited, but it doesn't really matter, because I have enough excitement for all of us. I'm sure you can tell, right? All right, let's do this. Here's how our short time together is going to break down. First, in order for you to harness the power of your stories, it's important that you understand why storytelling works. What's happening when we hear stories? What's happening when we tell them? Then we're going to move into a clarification of what a story really is. Who in here has heard about the importance of storytelling before? Raise your hands. Yes, you know this, but sometimes, even though we know we should be telling stories, we don't. So we'll talk about that. And then lastly, I want you to leave here today with some very specific strategies for finding stories, crafting them, and telling them. Are you ready? All right, let's do this. First, why does storytelling work so well? Well, there are several reasons. The first one is science. Because here's the thing, we think about stories as appealing to the heart, but the truth is, what makes stories so irresistible is that the effects start in the brain. Neurologist Paul Zak wanted to put this to the test to see if there was a change in our brain chemistry when we hear a story. So here's what he did. He took a group of test subjects, he drew their blood work so he would have a control, and then he played for them a short video, a video that told a story. Afterwards, he drew their blood again, and what he found was raised levels of two very important chemicals that the people couldn't help but release. What were those chemicals? Cortisol and oxytocin. Now, why does this matter? Well, cortisol is responsible for increased focus and attention. Let me ask you, how many of you have ever been giving a for-life presentation? Right? You're sharing about the products, you're sharing about the science, you're sharing about the new collagen product. Who's excited about that? Oh, but I'm excited about that. We'll be talking about that backstage, all right? And you're giving your presentation and you can see the people looking at you. But you know they are far, far away. Yeah, they're thinking about their shopping list. How many of you have teenagers? This happens to them too, right? Or on social media, how do you stop the scroll? How do you get people to really pay attention? You tell stories. And then of course there's oxytocin. Now oxytocin is known as the trust hormone. This is how we connect with people. This is how we believe in people. This is how we feel about these products. Because tell me this, am I wrong? Or are you so much more than simply what is in the bottle? Are you so much more than simply what the product is? Are you or aren't you? You are. Say we are. We are. How do you get people to feel this? You tell stories. Now the next reason storytelling is so important is because it changes this conversation. It changes the conversation from numbers, from the money, from how much people have to pay, or from the ingredients and the bullet points to the true value of what these products, what this opportunity can do. I want to show you another research study. Anthropologists We're interested to see the effects of stories on people's buying behavior. What do we buy? Do we buy the thing? Or do we buy the story of what the thing will mean in our lives? Well, spoiler alert, I hear you, we buy the story. So here's what they did. They wanted to put this to the test. So they gathered 200 objects. Now, the total amount of money they spent, you can see, is $250 US. Not very much. They were little knickknacks, but they took each one of these knickknacks and put them up on eBay with a story to see what people would pay for that. I just want to show you one example of what happened here. This is a globe paperweight. Now, I am not a huge paperweight aficionado, but if you look at that paperweight compared to the size of the penny, it's kind of small, right? Like it would hold one piece of paper in a light breeze. Like, don't open the window, you're losing your paper, okay? So, not even the best paperweight you could ever hope for. They spent $1.49 to buy this paperweight. So it was very minimal. I mean, a soda costs twice as much as that. Minimal amount, but they put that paperweight up on eBay with a story. And the story was of a woman who had fallen in love. And her dream had always been to travel the world, and with him she did. And every city they went to, every stop they made, he would buy her a little treasure, a little knickknack, a symbol of this great love and adventure that they shared. And that relationship had ended. And the woman was devastated. But she knew she had to move on, and the only way to do that would be to sell each one of the treasures he had given her. And this was the final one. And it was her hope that whoever purchased this mediocre paperweight would experience the same sense of love and adventure she had once felt and hoped to find again. That's a good story, right? Someone bought this paperweight for $197.50. That is a lot of money for a paperweight, Can you believe this? Now think about this. They weren't buying a paperweight. Whoever bought this paperweight wasn't buying a paperweight. What were they buying? Love and adventure. And for $197.50, that is a good price. I've tried to buy love and adventure for less than that. It didn't turn out well, okay? So, I know who in here has a goal? Who in here has a big goal for their business? Raise your hands. All right. So, let's see what stories can do for your big business goals, because remember, they spent a total of $250. They made $8 grand. I'll do the math for you. That is a 3,100% increase on their efforts. Who would like to make a 3,100% increase on their efforts in their for-life business? Raise your hands. Yes! And stories will help you make that happen. My husband said to me, he's like, why do you travel around the country teaching people about storytelling? Why don't we just buy some junk? You put it up on eBay, and you can write stories about them. Smart, right? We have a backup plan. Right? Now stories, so that's the thing to remember. Story changes that conversation. We buy the story, but only if you tell it. And the last reason stories are so valuable in this business is because stories are uniquely memorable. Because the storytelling process has a leveraging point that no other form of communication has. You can't just give someone a brochure with ingredients or information or the data points. If you tell them a story, here's what happens. As I am telling you my story, for example, you're taking my words and adding your images to it. As I was telling you about my grade school, how many of you pictured the grade school that you used to go to? Could you see it? Could you picture it? Yes, I see you raising your hands. How many of you pictured that perfect girl that you used to go to grade school with? Anybody? Could you picture? Could you see her? Yes, I see you raising your hands and nodding. Because I know what I'm doing up here. I know that you will picture the images in my story because that's what stories make us do. And when you help others become a part of your story will stick with them longer. And I don't know about you, but I don't do this work to come in one day and be forgotten. Who in here is leaving a legacy? Who in here is leaving their legacy? We're leaving our legacies, and this is how you make people remember you. This is how you stay with them. This is how you stick with them. If you tell your stories. So there's a lot of good information about storytelling, but the problem is when the stakes are highest, when the moment is right there, we often default to the information, to the statistics, to the details. I want you to make a shift. Instead of asking what information could I give here, you ask yourself, what story could I tell? But in order to do that, it's important that you know what a story is. So let's start with a few things that a story is not, okay? A story is not a list of features, facts, or bullet points. A story is not a list of ingredients, most of which I can't even pronounce. How am I supposed to feel anything about ingredients that I don't even know what they are? It's not simply the results, it's the story behind those results, what people were hopeful for, what those results have meant for their lives. It's not before and after pictures. And lastly, it's not vague industry jargon or promises. How many of you engage in your for-life business to have more time with your family? Does anyone say that? Yes, yes. And that is one of the beautiful benefits of doing this business. But simply saying, oh, I do this business so I can spend more time with my family is not enough. Tell us a story of a time you got to spend more time with your family. Maybe it's right here. Maybe it's right now. Maybe it's this weekend. So here's what a story actually is. This is important. A story happens in a particular moment. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end to a story. We'll talk more about that. There are emotions, not just information. And lastly, there are characters to care about and something at stake. This is what your stories need. Now I know just putting a bullet point list up on a screen isn't going to help you very much. So what I'd like to do is show you a before and after case study of a brand who thought they were telling a story and what happened when they actually did. Now, this brand you can see is a purse company. It has nothing to do with what you do. This is the video that was on the front page of her website that told her story. Spoiler alert, she does not tell a story. But I want you to watch this video and then we'll talk about it. Let's do it.
Talk to me. Talk to me. Close your eyes.
Okay.
Breathe.
Alright, ready? Yeah.
What does the Journey collection mean to you?
It means I'm being who I was born to be. I'm creating and I'm designing and I'm living my dreams. And this is the ripple effect of just finally getting to the place of doing what I so passionately love and want to be.
A lot of people view me as the girl who lost my parents in college, and I was the girl that was supposed to carry on Paisan and Joyce's legacy, but deep down, I want to be me, and I want to be Jennifer Page. I want people to look at me and be like, she listened to her own intuition, she listened to her heart, and she followed her dreams. So here is a fashion brand, and it designs handbags, but it's so much more than that. I want it to be about encouraging young people to be who they are, to follow their dreams, and to not get swept up in the white noise, but to know that if there's something that they want to do, to go after it and do it with all their heart and all their passion. If you're doing what you're meant to do, you will get there.
Okay, so what'd you think? Yeah, that was a pretty good video, wasn't it? That was pretty good, it was beautiful. She's talking about pursuing her passion and following her dreams, likely something that all of you talk about, but she didn't tell a story. And instead, what she did do is make the biggest storytelling mistake there is. She alluded to the story, but she didn't actually tell it. I'll say it again. She alluded to the story. She mentioned the story, but she didn't actually tell it. So we missed all of the benefits. How many of you heard what the story might have been? Did you hear her mention her parents? Yes, you heard her mention that, right? You heard her say that she lost her parents, but she didn't tell the story, and so we didn't get to feel anything about it. You wonder, how differently would you feel about this brand if she told that story? Good news. You don't have to wonder. We have an after video. Yes, we got together with Jen. It turns out this moment with her parents really was the catalyst for starting her business. I want you to watch this video and see if you can tell the difference telling the story makes.
I suppose my story starts like anyone else's. My parents wanted what was best for me and not to have to experience the struggles that they did. So I pursued a business degree, and then afterwards I planned to pursue law school. Then when I was 21, my life changed. I woke to find myself hanging upside down by my seatbelt. My family's SUV had flipped over several times, hitting the base of a concrete billboard before coming to a stop. Both my parents were taken from me that day. My mom was killed instantly, and my dad died hours later in the hospital. I knew that saying goodbye to two people I loved would be hard, but what I wasn't expecting was how hard the aftermath would be. Everyone was wondering what I would become in light of this tragedy. There was a lot of pressure, scrutiny, a lot of noise. I'll never forget the last words my mother said to me. She was sitting in the passenger seat of the car, and seconds before the accident happened, she turned around and she said to me, "Where do you want to go?" The next moment was chaos, and she never even got to finish that sentence. But her voice, that question, "Where do you want to go?" is forever frozen in my memory. I decided the best way to honor my parents is to find the answer that worked for me, for Jennifer Page, not for anyone else. Soul Carrier is the manifestation of that. Every handbag I design is created to serve as a daily reminder, to ignite people to do what they're meant to do. I don't know where you'll be when someone asks you that question, "Where do you want to go?" Or if you will have to ask it of yourself. But when that day comes, I hope that Soul Carrier can be a reminder to tune out the noise and to choose the path you were meant for.
Let me ask you, could you tell the difference? Isn't it unbelievable? Isn't it amazing how differently you feel about this brand, how differently you feel about her? And never underestimate, ladies and gentlemen, people aren't just buying for life. They're buying you. They're buying you. And how do they get to know you? How do they get to feel with you? Because they hear your stories. Now there's one thing that I feel it's important that I point out here. Because some of you may be watching this video. It's a big video. It's a sad story. And thinking to yourselves, I don't have a story that big. I don't have a story that small. Who am I to share my stories? And to you I say, it is not the magnitude of a story that matters. It's the decision to tell your stories. Even small stories can make very big connections. Believe in your stories, and I believe in you. All right, so now what I want to do, yes, thank you, Soul Carrier. What I'd like to do now is give you a few specific strategies for finding, crafting, and telling your stories. but I don't want you to stress out. This next part is going to go by very quickly, okay? So what I am going to do is send you these next slides so you can have them. Is that okay with you? Yes? Yes? Okay, so here's how you get them. I want you to take out your cell phones and take a picture of this next screen. What you're going to do is send a text message to that phone number, okay? Send the text message to that phone number, and in the message portion, write the word storyteller, all one word. You're going to hit send, and I will send you a text back that says, now send me your email. You're going to text me your email address, and I will send you these slides. Does that sound good? Okay, all right, so take a picture of that screen, make sure you do that. I want to give you a few tips for telling your stories. To tell your stories, you need to find them, then you need to craft them, and then you need to tell them. Telling them is often the easiest part. Let's start with finding. Just a few tips and tricks for you. First of all, one of the big challenges you're going to have is you'll be thinking to yourself, what story do I tell? I don't know how to find my stories. You'll ask yourself bad questions to find your stories. Here's one secret to unlocking the stories that are already there. You just have to find them, is to remember this. Our stories attach themselves to the nouns in our life. The people, the places, the things, the events. So think about the people in your business, think about your customers, think about your team members, and as you think about them, give your mind a space to think about stories that have happened with them. Think about the places, think about the events, think about the first, how many of you remember your first 4-Life event? Do you remember it? Let me ask you, how many of you are here at your first 4-Life event here today? Let me hear from you. Oh yes, I love this. There are stories that are happening here. So think about the nouns to find your stories. Now to craft your stories, I want to give you a quick 3-part formula for crafting your stories. Are you ready? We mentioned a story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. I don't want you to think about them like that. I want you to think about them like this. Normal, explosion, new normal. The normal is what was, what you were hopeful for, what you were thinking about, what you were worried about, what you were looking for. The explosion is the thing that happened, the decision that was made, the action point of the story, and the new normal is what is possible now. So maybe perhaps you met this woman. Look, she kind of looks like me actually. And she was fine, she was working hard, but she never got recognized. She could use a little bit of extra income, and she was really stressed out, and then she found you. And now look at her, she feels great. She feels amazing, right? She gets recognized for her work, she's earning additional income, she's building an entire team to work together. In fact, she feels so good, she bought her daughter a horse for $104.50. All I need you to remember is normal, nobody cares. Nobody cares about this, the first part, the end of the story, until you tell them about the first part. Does that make sense? Yes? So spend some time in that normal. And lastly, you have to tell the story. Now, telling the story is easy. Tell your stories on social media. Tell your stories face to face. Tell your stories with your teams to help recognize them, to help them overcome their obstacles, to help them understand what is possible for them. And in fact, now that I'm here, and we're talking about telling your stories to your team, particularly for recognition, we have something special for you planned. I have the privilege at this very moment to introduce you to someone who I know you all know and love. Please welcome President and CEO Danny Lee.
Thank you, Kindra. Yes. That was amazing. Wow, who here enjoyed Kindra's address? Well, storytelling is central to what you guys do every day. Your stories inspires others to follow their dreams. Kindra, I loved hearing what you had to say about the power of storytelling and how we can use it as a tool in our lives. Well, now I'm excited to honor a group of people who found success sharing their story with people all over the world. 4-Life Diamonds, okay? Diamonds may just be getting started, but they're passionate, excited, and ready to take on the world. So this time, we'd like to invite all the diamonds to stand up where they are. Por favor, levántense, los diamantes de por lado. Pónganse de pie. To do something special right now, so stay standing, stay standing. We have a special diamond chant that Kindra and I would like to teach you. So are you ready? ¿Están listos?
¿Listos?
Okay. Ella está lista. Yo estoy listo. ¿Ustedes? Okay, here it is. We are diamonds. We reach higher. We will rise. Okay? Now let's do it again. Let's do it one more time. You guys ready? We are diamonds. We reach higher. We will rise. All right. That was awesome. That was awesome. We love you, diamonds. Thank you again for everything you do. Gracias por todo lo que hacen ustedes. Now we can't wait to see what you achieve next. Thanks.
Let's hear it for Danny. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's hear it for Danny. Congratulations to the diamonds and to all of our incredible achievers in this room. Let's give yourselves one more round of applause. There's one last thing that I'd like to leave you with here today. Because certainly you can be telling your stories to future customers, to future distributors, to future diamonds and beyond. But I want to speak to you for a moment right here as an entrepreneur myself, as a person who had a dream, as a person who wanted to rise, who felt called to do the work that I do. How many of you feel called to do this work? It is in your soul, but there's something that I have to tell you, because the most important stories you can tell are the ones you tell yourself. You have a choice of what stories you tell yourself about what is possible and what is meant to be for you, and I want you to choose those stories wisely. Because it's not always easy, right? As entrepreneurs, we have our ups and we have our downs. How do you stay connected to your passion so that you can continue to rise? I have one of those stories. It's a story about my daughter. I have my husband, I mentioned, and then I have my son, he's 8, and my daughter, who's just about to turn 7. They're all here today. I brought them with me. You'll get to meet them later. They're fabulous. I know, they came. I will say they're a little bit sad that they're at Disney World, and they don't get to go to Disney World. But I think, but they're going to be here with you, and they're thrilled about that. But this story is about my daughter, and it happened several years ago, just about the time that I felt called to come and speak about storytelling to people like you. But usually, my family doesn't get to travel with me. Usually, I'm alone. Usually, I'm being me, away from the people I love most. And one afternoon, I was really distracted and challenged with this reality. And I remember I was at home with my daughter. She was about 3 years old at the time, and we were on the floor in her bedroom, and we were building something with blocks. We were building something with blocks, but I was distracted, and she could tell, because daughters, women, we can tell when you're distracted, can't we? Yeah, it's a thing. It's just a thing we can do. It's just a reality of being a woman. Even at 3 years old, she could tell that I was distracted. And so she said to me, she said, "Mama, we're building a castle." Oh, right. Oh, I apologize. Right. We are building a castle. Now, there were some architectural issues with the castle. lopsided, and fallen over. But I could see it was a castle. And then she looked at me with her big, beautiful hazel eyes, and she said, "And we live in this castle, Mama, because we are two princesses." Which, to have your daughter think of you as a princess, I mean, what more could you want, right? And that would have been enough. But then she looked at me. Her face, her round little face got very serious, and she said, "And it's a big castle, Mama, because we are two princesses who go to work." Ourselves. But here's the thing. I realized in that moment that maybe what I was really teaching my daughter was to dream bigger, to build bigger castles, and that she can, and that she should. And that is a story I will tell myself until the day I'm gone. What stories do you tell yourself in those moments when you need them most? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, that is the storytelling process. Now, there's one more piece of news that I have to share with you here today that I'm so very excited. As you heard in my introduction, I wrote a book. Oh, it's called Stories That Stick, How Storytelling Can Captivate Customers, Influence Audiences, and Transform Your Business. It's hard to fit everything I know about storytelling into a very small space. This book gives you so much more. It talks about the 4 stories they are and the components that you need and how to take big stories and fit them into small spaces. Now, the only problem is it doesn't come out until September 24th. So it's still like a week and a half away. So you can't get it. You can't get it here today. But I do have something very special for you. You can pre-order it today online at Amazon. And if you do that, I will give you the first 3 chapters now. The publisher let me print them out. So that's the first 3 chapters. Now they're in English, but I understand the book is going to be published in both Portuguese and Chinese, and we're working on Spanish, so that is to come. I'll give you the first 3 chapters now. I will also give you a personalized autograph, so you'll have my autograph when your book arrives, and a special bookmark, because I don't know, bookmarks are cool. And the best thing is I have an online training all about storytelling. It has an ebook, lots of modules, and it's a $40 value. But I will give you free access to that. Free access to that program if you pre-order today. So take out your cell phones, go to Amazon.com. If you're in the United States, go to Target.com. But if you do that, you will end up buying more than you meant to. So just fair warning. That's what happens when you go to Target, right? Pre-order Stories That Stick. Place your pre-order, then come to the store at noon today. We'll be there at noon today, and show us your confirmation, and we'll give you all the prizes. Look for our banner. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been an honor to be here with you today. You now know why storytelling works, what a story is and what it isn't, and finally some specific strategies for finding, crafting, and telling your stories. And it is my hope that no matter what wide hallways you walk down, no matter how many princesses you teach to believe in themselves and dream bigger, that you will do all of that because you chose to rise up and tell your story.